This bank robber used a mask to make him look black, causing an innocent man to go to jail. Welcome back, Charlie here. Criminals and bank robbers often go viral for their disguises, from genius robbers who have never been unmasked, to incredibly dumb criminals whose disguises got them caught. First, we have to look at the Two-Tool Bandit. The Two-Tool Bandit is one of the most mysterious and scary bank robbers in the world. He gets his nickname from his massive height, a whopping 6 foot 8 inches. The FBI gave him the nickname the Two-Tool Bandit in 2020, but he started his criminal spree.
How can he not have been caught? If you are 6'8", that must severely limit the pool of suspects. I'm fucking 6'3". 6'8"? That is like, how many percent of the population? Less than a fucking 0.5%. Less than 0.5%. Guaranteed. Even less, actually.
In 2009. Since then, he's robbed 16 banks. The robberies occurred in Tennessee and the Carolinas. He did these 16 bank robberies over the span of only 11 years, and has stolen millions in these heists. The Two-Tool Bandit normally targets banks in rural areas, making it hard for cops to get there in time. He always wears a disguise, but does alternate these. He pretty much always wears a hooded jacket, sometimes in camo with a full camo face mask, and sometimes he even wears scary Halloween costumes, similar to the one Ben Affleck wore in the bank heist movie The Town. The Two-Tool Bandit also has a very distinctive limp on his right leg. Because of his limp and massive height, you may think that he would be easily identified, but the Two-Tool Bandit has never been unmasked. He is very aggressive and scary to any bank workers he comes across, often yelling, being aggressive and threatening them, and most of the time brandishing a pistol. The Two-Tool Bandit's most recent robbery came 11 years to the minute after his first robbery. It was done on the exact same day and time, and in the same style too, almost as if he was trolling the police. The FBI have been investigating the Two-Tool Bandit for years, but right now they have no idea who this guy could be. They're currently offering $15,000 if anyone comes forward with information, but unlike most bank robbers, this guy works alone, so that could be tough. Next, we have to look at the Black Mask Bandit. Many bank robbers use black masks, but very few use black male masks. This bank robber used a super realistic black face mask. It was so realistic, it caused police to arrest a totally innocent man who looked like the mask. Conrad Tederak from Ohio committed many robberies wearing a black man face mask. He robbed these 6 banks all in November of 2010. He bought the mask from a Hollywood special effects company. The mask was so realistic, even the mother of the wrongly accused man believed it was her son. The real robber was only caught thanks to his girlfriend finding the mask. His girlfriend had seen news reports of the robberies, and had found the black mask and lots of money inside the guy's wardrobe. So his girlfriend basically snitched on him. But that's a good thing, as it meant an innocent man was freed. Next, we have to look at the Plastic Bag Bandit. In 2013, this man named Jamie Neal tried to rob a petrol station in the UK. His disguise was a bag. That may sound okay, except for the fact that the bag was clear and made of plastic. That's right, this guy thought he'd get away with robbery by using a clear plastic bag to disguise his face. He tried to convince cashiers that his mobile phone was a gun. The local chief of police said Jamie's disguise was the most ridiculous he'd ever come across. Using CCTV and forensic evidence, they were easily able to arrest Jamie. The funny part is he didn't even get any money. He pointed his mobile phone hidden in his jacket at the female counter worker, but that's when his phone's keypad lit up through the jacket. As soon as the worker realized it wasn't a gun, she pressed an alarm, causing police to come to the scene and arrest this very dumb criminal. Jamie was sentenced to 2 years in prison for the failed heist. Next, we have to look at the Duct Tape Bandit. This is KCG Casey, now better known as the Duct Tape Bandit. This guy tried to rob Shamrock Liquor Store in Kentucky, USA. He thought no one would be able to identify him if he wrapped his face in duct tape. He held up the liquor store and stole some cash, but he was soon wrestled to the ground in the parking lot. Police then arrived on scene and arrested him. He was later charged with first-degree robbery and was sentenced to jail. Unfortunately for him, his duct tape mask did not help whatsoever. It also must have been really painful to rip off. Moving on, we have to look at the Big Shades Bandit. In 2022, the FBI began asking for help to identify the Big Shades Bandit. He got this nickname because he always wears big sunglasses every time he robs a bank. He's robbed various banks in Houston, Texas. His heists go like this. He walks up to the bank teller and hands them a note. The note says, "I have a handgun, give me cash." There's currently a $5,000 reward for any information leading to his arrest. But seeing as he always wears big shades and a mask, he will be very hard to identify. Moving on, let's look at the Sharpie Stealers. This is Matthew McNally and Joey Miller. You may wonder what all that stuff on their faces is. Well, it's actually their disguise. They decided to break into some apartments in Iowa and disguise their faces using permanent marker pen. I guess you could even call these guys pen pals. They were soon spotted and ran away, but police pulled over their vehicle and as soon as he saw their disguise, knew they were the robbers. The local police chief said their Sharpie smeared faces gave them right away. Next, let's look at the Glamour Shot Bandit. This is 19-year-old Brianna Cassius, better known as the Glamour Shot Bandit. She's quite an unlikely bank robber. She's a girl and only 5'2", but she still managed to rob 6 banks in Colorado, USA. She would use all kinds of different disguises. One time she wore a blonde wig, another time a cowboy hat and a white head covering, and a different time 2 baseball caps stacked on top of each other. She also wore white latex gloves during every robbery to prevent leaving fingerprints. She also never said a word to any tellers when robbing these banks. She would simply give them a note saying, "Please give me hundreds, 50s, and 20s. She would then brandish a pistol to intimidate them. She actually robbed 6 banks in Colorado and 2 banks elsewhere, and made tens of thousands of dollars from these heists. But she was later identified from a photo lineup. She was charged and is now in prison. Next, we have to look at the Empire Strikes Banks. In 2015, this man robbed a bank in North Carolina, and did so dressed as Darth Vader. Instead of a lightsaber, he used a rifle. Only 3 hours after this heist, he was arrested. He'd been driving a stolen vehicle and police pulled him over. They soon saw the rifle and money in the back of the car and realized he's also a bank robber. I guess you could say this guy went to the dark side. Finally, let's look at these ghost griefers. In 2017, these 2 robbers dressed up as ghosts to steal computers. It's a pretty lazy disguise, the kind of thing kids do at Halloween. The burglars simply got some sheets and cut out eye holes. They then broke into an office and stole various computers and printers. This took place somewhere in Brazil. Although their disguises were pretty lazy, they didn't get caught. Police were never able to identify them or arrest anyone. Maybe instead of calling the police, they should have called the Ghostbusters.
Classic. Chillin' man, done anything with 1 year, yo Forsen, what's up?